in the night, your heart fills with dread. Probably a murderer who wants you dead. It could be a ghost, a demon, or worse. Perhaps you're the victim of a witch's curse. It's hopeless, you're doomed. You'd call a priest if you could. You'd rather just listen to who? Sinisterhood. Hello and welcome to another edition of Freaky Friday, where we tell your odd but true stories. It is Friday, August 8th, and today we've got a lineup of some of our favorite stories from Freaky Fridays past. These have been sent in by so many of you wonderful, generous listeners who have trusted us to tell your stories, and we're pulling them out of the archives and putting them together for a fun compilation for you all this week. If you have an odd but true story, maybe you've encountered Bigfoot, you've seen a UFO, or you felt the presence of an otherworldly being, be sure to go to sinisterhood.com/Freaky Friday and submit your story. We want to hear from you. We can't get enough Freaky Friday stories, so as many as you want to send in, feel free. We can't wait to share them on a future episode. While you're on our website, be sure to hit live shows, because today, August 8th, tickets for our show at the Texas Theater, The Season of the Witch, on October 4th, 2025, go on sale. Right now, as you hear this, tickets are on sale, assuming you're listening after 10 a.m. If not, mark your calendar. Go to sinisterhood.com/live shows and get your tickets there. We can't wait to see you all on October 4th at the historic Texas Theater. We will have a streaming option. We just don't have any of the details available for it now, but as soon as we do, we will share it with you all, and it will be on that live show page. Also, you'll notice on the live show page, we've got a show on land and we've got a show on sea. So check out tickets for Crime Wave at Sea 2025, November 3rd through the 7th. You can get your cabin by getting a fan code at crimewaveatsea.com/sinister. There's also information on our website, but the fan codes, you get them from crimewaveatsea.com/sinister. We've got word that it's almost sold out. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you better. And if you don't get them soon, you might not be going. So we can't wait to see you all aboard. We can't wait to see you at the Texas Theater for Season of the Witch. Head over to our website for all the details. Please submit your Freaky Friday stories there. And we hope you have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful weekend, as wonderful as it all can be. But we're thinking of you. We appreciate y'all for being here listening. Head over to our Patreon as well for some bonus content, and we'll catch you next Friday. But in the meantime, please enjoy our compilation, Freaky Friday.
This first one is from Michelle, and it's called Boston Marathon Bombing Close Call with a Happy Ending. Hi, Heather and Christy. I'd listen to every true crime podcast under the sun, but you are my absolute favorite. Let me introduce you to my mother. First and most relevant to the story, my mother is a runner. When I was growing up in her house, if I sensed that she was stressed or sad or angry, I always would say, "Hey, Mom, maybe you should go for a run. I'll take care of dinner." She would take that offer, go for a run, and come back in a totally different mood. Running is her therapy. It's her happy place. My mother is also a healthcare provider, a loving wife, a caregiver to her mother, an excellent friend to her training group, the TBs, or Tough Bitches, an endurance athlete coach, and so many other things, including being my absolute fucking hero. I wasn't living with my mom when she qualified for the Boston Marathon, but I watched her train my entire life. Boston is pretty much the pinnacle of any runner's career, being the world's oldest annual marathon and one of the best regarded racing events in the world. To say you've been to Boston is a well-deserved badge of honor. So when she qualified, of course her whole team was going to be there. The core group of myself, my mom, my brother, his wife, and my mom's husband were looking at places to stay in downtown Boston before the sister of another runner that was friends with my mom offered her mansion, a literal mansion, outside of town for all of us to stay in. It was a gorgeous home on a ton of property, complete with a duck pond. That part will come back later. The morning of the race was an emotional time for everyone. This is it. There were big hugs and tears of joy when we dropped her off at the bus to take her to the start line in Hopkinton, where the famous saying is, "This is where it all starts." We had no idea the day would end in tears of a completely different emotion. Throughout the race, my family was tracking my mom's pace via GPS and driving in the car, trying to find roads that weren't closed so we could get out of the car, run to see her from the side of the road, scream words of encouragement, assess how she was feeling, then move down the course a few more miles and repeat. If you've ever spectated a distance event, you know what I'm talking about. As we got close to the finish line, the crowd was so thick we couldn't see over the barricade onto the road. Not letting this get in the way of us watching our champ cross the finish line, my brother and I scaled a lamppost to get a better view of the runners. Sure enough, right on pace, there went my mom, making her first Boston Marathon finish. We had arranged a place to meet behind the finish line, so my brother, sister-in-law, and stepfather all took off at a jog to get there as quickly as possible. That's when we heard the first blast. Not knowing what was going on, we tried to convince each other that maybe it was a celebratory cannon. This is a historic city after all. Or maybe a transistor blew underground. Then the sirens began. Then the second blast. Then the real panic set in. What the fuck was happening? And where the fuck was my mom? The finishing chute is long, but this was taking too long. We all tried to get the news of what was happening on our phones, but service was down. My brother had to physically hold me back from going to find her, which in hindsight, I am grateful for. How the hell did I think I was going to find my mom in this chaos? So we waited, and we waited. It felt like hours, but I know that it wasn't when she finally found us. Everyone in tears, we now had to figure out what to do next. The house we were staying in was far outside of the city, which was a blessing, but our only option to get there was to get on the subway. At this point, there were rumors flying around the city of other bombs. A family member that worked for CNN at the time was getting news tips about bombs in the subway and passing them along to us, begging us not to get on the train. We got on the train. Huddled together, hardly speaking, we made it to our destination. Back at the house, we all processed in different ways. The majority of the group, there were probably 20 people staying at this house, were sitting around the living room watching the news on TV. I couldn't. And honestly, I couldn't really tell you what I was doing. I think I spent some time sitting in the library. My brother was outside feeding the ducks. We were all in shock, but we were safe and out of the city. I've lived all these years with the nightmare that I could have lost my mom that day, the most important person in my life. If she had stopped to tie her shoe, or if she had trained a little less intensely, or if she had walked through one of the water stations, she would have been crossing the finish line at the very moment the first bomb went off. She missed the blast zone by literal seconds. What I didn't realize until many years later is that my mom had also been living with the nightmare that she could have lost her whole family that day. The light post we were clambering up to get a better view of the runners was the exact spot where the second bomb went off. If we hadn't left to go meet her behind the finish line, well, you get it. I didn't know this until I spoke with her before writing this story for you. While she struggled with PTSD for some time, sirens still aren't great, in an act stronger than I can fathom, she decided to go again. She was going to take back her power and her joy of running from the assholes that traumatized so many people. She qualified again in 2015, went back and ran even faster. I attached some pictures from the 2015 race because I've thought about 2013 enough for today, or ever. I know there are so many terrible things that happen in this world, mass shootings and bombings that are much worse than what I experienced. But the trauma is real when you think you could have lost a loved one. I am forever grateful to our host for providing a safe haven and forever proud of my mom for being the strongest woman I know. Thanks for reading. Keep it creepy.
Man, your mom is a strong woman to, go back to a place that it holds that, where it's sirens still upset her, but to actually go back to the physical place, that is the strength and resilience of your mom, of a runner, for sure.
I love that she's taking it back because this was a day that, destroyed so many families. I vividly remember this happening. Not only just to get back into running is difficult enough, but to go back to the place where it happened, that is true courage and bravery. And I'm so glad that she did and didn't, let it keep her from doing something that she loves so much. Your mom sounds amazing. You are so sweet for speaking so highly of her. I hope that my kids have things like this to say about me when they're older, because what a excellent role model she has been, clearly.
Yeah, you can tell. And just from hearing, honestly, the way that you speak about your mom, Michelle, it shows your relationship with her, which is born from how she raised you to be a very empathetic, considerate, kind child, to recognize that this is a passion for your mom. It brings her, stress release. It makes her happy, and to encourage her to do that. And to be there with her for what is, you said it right. That's like the pinnacle of any runner's career. That's like, I always am like, I would love to do that, but it's so hard to even qualify. I don't even think I could qualify to go. So the people that do it, it's not just, well, I just sort of signed up on a lark. It really is the result of so much training and hard work. And you're right, when just like assholes come and destroy it just for the destruction's purpose. I think the other side of that, often, obviously, the destruction is extremely difficult to wade through. But on the other side of it, we've seen not just in 2014, but every year thereafter, how strong Boston is and remains strong, and really said, like, we are a city that comes together, that's going to care for those who were killed, for the families of those who were killed, from those who were injured. And we are not going to let this stop us from doing this quintessential race that's like a classic, a classic showing of like the human spirit and resilience.
Yeah. Well, your mom is a hero. Thank you so much, Michelle, for sharing that story. And I love too that you pointed out, because this happens to me a lot. I'll be like, wow, this has really affected me, and think about how it's affected me. But maybe I didn't think to ask, like, how did this affect you though? And then you find out, like, it's the same. We were all like worried of what could have happened that day. But I love that you actually got to have that conversation with your mom. And, because I think when both sides are vulnerable and you realize you have this in common, then it just strengthens your bond even more.
Certainly. There's beauty in the openness, and the beauty in this is that both of them were not worried about themselves. They were worried about the other person.
And Michelle shared some photos from the 2015 one, and happy faces all around. I admire anyone that can make it through this race, because I don't want to run down my street. So to run through an entire city sounds incredibly difficult, but it is. So glad that she got back into it, because any kid that's like, hey, I got dinner, you go do what I know makes you happy. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Gold stars all around.
Gold stars. And it's not just her win, it's everybody that helped her get there. So go mama. Go mama. Yes. Keep finishing your races. We love to see it.
Absolutely.
Sinisterhood will be right back. This episode of Sinisterhood is brought to you by Graza. It's that time of year, whether you're grilling on the deck or chilling on the beach, Graza is your one and only summertime, never blended, single origin olive oil. I never thought I'd be a person that was like, I have a favorite brand of olive oil, but I'll tell you what, once you've had it hit your mouth, you will not go back. Graza offers 3 different unique varieties for any cooking task. You're going to frizzle it. That's where you have the smoke point, 490 degrees Fahrenheit. Frizzle is there for you if you're grilling, you're frying, you're crisping. You want it frizzling. For sizzle, that's 410 degrees Fahrenheit. It's your everyday hero for roasting, marinating, saute it. I fry eggs in it. Paris uses it when cooking. Throw a little baby in the cast iron. Man, that stuff will absorb into your food in a good way. Like, it's where you can tell that not only did it cook the food, but it added something to the food in a positive, fresh, clean way. And drizzle, baby. Speaking of adding something to your food with a bold, punchy flavor, drizzle goes great on bread, ice cream, your classic potato salad. I squirt it on 2 pieces of toast every morning, put a little feta, put some eggs that I cooked in sizzle on my drizzled toast, and I call it Heather's Magic Toast. Add a little seasoning on top of the feta. You could try some lemon dressed spinach if you want to dress it up. I feel like classy and eating something absolutely delicious with Graza. And it's also convenient. It's really super fun. Squeezy bottles, spray bottles. There's no messy tins, no drippy sprouts. You aim, you squeeze, and you are ready to go. We traveled with them when we went on a road trip recently. I was like, I'm not leaving this at home. So not only can you get it online, but you can also get it in stores. But you get 10% off your first order of any olive oil on their site. But we suggest grabbing the trio. That's all 3 squeezy bottles, sizzle, frizzle, and drizzle, so you're set for every style of cooking. So head to graza.co and use creepy to get 10% off trio, which includes sizzle, frizzle, and drizzle, and get to cooking your next chef quality meal.
Well, this next one is from Ray Cheesy. And the subject line is, "That time my mom survived a kidnapping from a serial rapist and murderer." Content warning, there are mentions of sexual assault. OMG. Hello, ladies. I am a huge fan and have been a long-time listener since 2016, I think. But this is my first time writing in. I was part of the crew from Luminati's that sent you frozen deep dish pizza a few years ago. I no longer work there, though. Every time I hear a Freaky Friday episode, I kick myself for not writing in yet. I have more than a few true crime and paranormal stories to share, but I have just been procrastinating writing in. Let me start with my mother's kidnapping. I hate that we lost the newspaper clipping of the story because the details would really help right about now. I tried looking it up, but sadly, my research skills are not that great. It happened in 1986, I believe, in or around Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So my mom has always been a bit of an exaggerated storyteller. And to be honest, for some of my life, I questioned whether she was telling the truth about this one. But it wasn't until my early teens that I came across the newspaper clipping she saved that backed up her story. For context, my parents had me at a very early age. My mom had barely turned 16 in August of '83, and my dad had turned 17 in September, and I came along in October. So it was a rough start for both of them being teens with a baby and still in high school. After graduation, they broke up for a while, and my dad pursued becoming a priest for a bit, which is crazy once I tell you his true crime story. When that didn't pan out, he joined the Army and was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Meanwhile, my mom stayed behind in our small Chicago suburb, trying to make ends meet by waitressing and raising me with the help of her overprotective family. Anyway, after a few years of her trying to do it on her own as a single mom, she got fed up with her family and decided to pack me up and make the drive to North Carolina to reunite with my dad. Their relationship was a hot mess, and they fought constantly. So after 6 months of us three giving it a go, my aunt came to pick me up and bring me back to Illinois to give my parents a break. My parents shared one car at the time, so it was up to my mom to drop off and pick up my dad from work on base. So one afternoon, she stopped for gas. She went in to pay, and when she came out, she witnessed a man opening her trunk and placing a bicycle inside. She described him as an average-height, skinny white guy. And for context, she was 19 and has always been petite, only 4'8", and I'm guessing around 95 pounds at the time. So she questioned the man as to what he was doing opening her car. He pulled out a gun and instructed her not to scream, but to act normal and get in the passenger seat. Scared and not knowing what to do, she complied. He got in the driver's seat and told her that if she does what he says, he will let her go safely. So at the time, she told me that all she could think about was me and that she would do whatever she had to do to survive and see me again. They drove off, and for whatever reason, she didn't recognize anything around her. It was all looking very rural. With her hand on the door handle, she contemplated jumping out and making a run for it. But he noticed and told her that if she did that, he promised to chase her down and kill her. So she began crying and begging him to drive her car correctly. You see, her car was a stick shift, and the kidnapper was struggling to drive it. She said, "If you mess up the clutch, my boyfriend will kill me." And she purposely was giving him false instructions on how to drive a stick so that the car would jerk in hopes to attract attention. He was growing frustrated with her and the car and her crying. Meanwhile, my mom didn't notice that the man had been speeding, running stop signs and stoplights, so they eventually attracted the attention of a cop on patrol. The cop began following them and pulled them over. The guy driving proceeded to stick the gun in my mom's side and forcefully said, "Don't say a word. Let me do the talking or I will shoot you." She nodded in agreement. As the cop approached the vehicle, he said, "Can I ask what the big hurry is?" The kidnapper said, "I'm so sorry, officer. Was I speeding? You see, we just got married and we were in a hurry to get to the hotel, if you know what I mean. Right, honey?" My mom must have looked terrified, but she nodded yes as instructed. The stupid cop almost bought the story and was about to let them off with a warning, but when the kidnapper turned back toward the cop to smile, appear normal, and thank him, my mom signaled to the cop that the man had a gun. The cop calmly asked the guy to step out of the vehicle and promptly put him in cuffs and arrested him. My mom was then forced to come down to the station to make a statement. Turns out this guy had been wanted as a serial rapist and murderer. The whole ordeal took hours, and my mom never made it to pick my dad up from work. When she finally came home and told my dad about the nightmare she had just lived through, he didn't believe her. He called her a liar, and they got in a big fight about it. Like I said, their relationship was always a hot mess. It wasn't until a couple of days later when a coworker brought him the newspaper in shock, asking if his girlfriend was all right, that he finally believed my mom and apologized. I wish I could tell you the name of the guy, but we sadly lost the newspaper clipping in a move. I could give you her full name if you wanted to do your own digging for the news article, but that, the year, and general location is all I have to go on. The kidnapper was sentenced to 20 years, I think. About 15 years ago, my mom called me hysterically crying. It took her a few minutes to get the words out, she was so shaken. But basically, she had been watching the news and there was a story about the same man who had kidnapped her being let out for time served. He immediately went on to offend again, raping and murdering another woman. When she saw his photo on the news, she recognized him and a wave of emotion hit her and she began to panic. I just tried to calm her down and remind her that he had been sent straight back to jail in North Carolina and we now live in Illinois again, so she was safe. So yeah, that's my mom's story of surviving a kidnapping from a serial rapist and murderer. Now wait until you hear about my dad's story of being kidnapped years later and how he got out of it to live to tell the tale. Thanks for reading my story. I love everything about you ladies and the incredible content you produce for the world. While I'm on a roll, I will not hesitate to write in my dad's story next as to not leave you hanging. Love you, mean it, bye. Rachel.
Well, Rachel. Well, first of all, we distinctly remember that Lou Malnati's package you sent us. And as soon as you said that, we both were like, thank you. That came at the height of the pandemic, and it was everything.
I was busting at the seams pregnant because that shirt, I have a picture of me in the Illuminati shirt holding the pizza, and I am days away from giving birth. And man, that pizza, I think about that pizza at least once a week.
Oh, it hits the spot.
So good.
Oh, we love Lou Malnati's and you, Rachel, even though you don't work there, but we do appreciate the gesture and we appreciate you taking the time to write this tale in. This is a horrifying event for your mom to have to deal with. Not only literally being kidnapped and held hostage, but then to get home and have your partner be like, yeah, right. What?
The way the second worst thing that would have happened that day was me being kidnapped. The first is what would have happened
to the moon.
If my partner was like, no, you weren't. I'm like, do you know the ordeal I just went through?
Do you want to see where my ribs, where he shoved the gun in me? Yeah, that is eerie to have the cop be like, all right, well, you guys keep on going and be like, he has a gun. Don't let him go.
When the excuse too is so like gross and weird, like, you know, you could suss that out. Again, I really believe your mom escaped death.
Imminent demise.
Just like Max. Yeah. And what a bizarre thing to have in common, the two of you. But, you know, it's kind of a stark reminder that this stuff happens more than we think about or even know about.
Right. It's for every, serial killer or serial offender we hear about, there are maybe 5 to 10 per victim that he tried it on and it didn't work, or it got interrupted or got away for whatever other reason. And it's so eerie to think about. Like you said, it happens. The attempts happen more often than not. So please feel free, Rachel, to also write in about your dad's kidnapping, because I'm fascinated to hear. It said afterwards. So your mom got kidnapped, and then years later afterwards, your dad got kidnapped. And I would also like to hear when it happened, what your mom's reaction was to him. Because to me, it seems more unbelievable. If I was kidnapped and then later on you came and claimed to me you were kidnapped, statistically, it seems unlikely, but I'm interested in the details. I'm not passing judgment until I hear the details.
Absolutely. To have both of your parents be kidnapped as adults,
in
nonetheless,
situations,
that is a unique experience. And to also, I mean, obviously, it sounds like your parents don't have a great relationship. I'm not sure if they're still together, but imagine if like you and Paris both had in common that you were both kidnapped as adults.
Right. And
after you had been together, that
after
happened.
we've been together in separate incidents years apart. Yeah.
That's
the
wild.
Statistics on that I'd be interested to know what they are, but please feel free to share, Rachel. We'd love to hear it. And thanks for sending this one in. Sinisterhood. We'll be right back.
Well, this next one is from Maddie, and it's called Sharing the Road, Road Rage. Hello, wonderful Sinisterhood fam. I've been listening for years, but hadn't thought about writing in until the call for road rage stories. This maybe isn't your typical idea of road rage, but it's something that I sadly experience a lot and has the potential to end really badly. I'm a cyclist and triathlete and spend a lot of hours on my bike. I try to find less busy roads, but there is always the danger of cars. Bike and multi-use paths are wonderful, but they're not always available or well-maintained, meaning I have to hit the roads pretty regularly. Road rage is scary no matter what, but being as vulnerable as you are on a bike heightens that fear. I'm protected by nothing more than a helmet and a thin layer of Lycra, which isn't really going to help against a car. I've been cursed at, flipped off, tailgated, and coal-rolled, trucks revving their engines as they pass in order to blow a bunch of exhaust in your face. But a couple instances stand out as especially terrifying. My first scary experience with a car happened on Main Street of my little Midwestern hometown. I was coming back into town on my bike, hugging the shoulder, and moving into the lane, only to swerve around cars parked on the curb. The speed limit is 25 miles per hour on that street, and I was going just about that fast. A car came up right behind me as I moved around one of the parked cars. As the guy passed me, he opened his window and yelled something, and once in front of me, slammed on his brakes. My choice was crash into the back of his car or be forced into the lane of oncoming traffic. Thank goodness for my decent bike handling skills that I bobbed and weaved through oncoming traffic and made it out shaken up but unhurt. I'm sorry that dude was late to work or whatever, but why risk someone's life because of it? The second memorable road rage incident happened on a lonely country road early on a Sunday morning. I was riding with my dad, and as we stopped at a stop sign to cross a rural highway, a line of cars passed us before we crossed the road. On the other side, a guy in a beat-up SUV pulled over to the side of the road in front of us and got out of the car. People around here have and carry guns, and I was not about to mess with this guy. But my dad can get a little hot-headed. They were yelling at each other while I was pleading with Dad to just ride away. The man with the SUV yelled at us for being on the roads at all, which bikes are totally allowed to do. Thankfully, Dad and I both got out of the mess with nothing more than an elevated heart rate, and a good reminder that people can be assholes, even at 8 a.m. on a summer Sunday morning. I'm lucky that none of these instances have become true crime stories for me, but I have friends who have been hit by cars while riding, and I know plenty of cyclists who have been killed by cars. To all my Sinisterhood family who drive cars, please remember that bikes are carrying a human life too, and you slowing down for 15 seconds is a better choice than potentially killing or injuring someone. And to my fellow cyclists, use your bike lights, signal your turns, and obey traffic laws. If we want to share the road, we have to hold up our end of the bargain too. Thank you guys for opening your platform to regular Joes like me, and I hope this is at least a slightly unique story of road rage. Stay safe, M.
8 a.m. on a Sunday morning. That is quite a time to be like, it's not like she's like, okay, we pulled out in front of these cars and caused, like, they were stopped at a stop sign.
That's insane.
You madman.
I don't even get, like, where the anger is coming from. That's something that had nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
that's
deep
something
inside.
that he's coming off of from the night before or just lives with.
Or life.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you are absolutely right. Bikes have just as much right to be on the most roads as cars do. And we got to look out for them because I get scared often just riding in a car. And if the only thing I could just fall right off and like end up on the street or roll, that's wild. Every time I see like a cyclist or a biker or anybody and they're not in full gear, like protective gear, I'm like, what are you doing?
Too many people just don't pay attention or angry, you know, like
or you yourself mess up and you
hit a rock. There's literally,
Dude.
there's just a rock in the road or whatever. When the times I fell off my motorcycle, no one else was involved. So sometimes you can fall down. But I mean, and when I was on my bike, and by that I mean my Harley Sportster, a car was fucking with me. I at least could hit the throttle, and I had 1,200 horsepower. I just go like I was gone, or 1,200 cc. I don't have 1,200 horsepower. I could rocket to the moon. I sold my bike a few years ago. Don't worry. But I always thought oh my gosh, I'm so vulnerable. But at least if the shit hits the fan, I can go 70 and get out of here.
Yeah.
But for a cyclist, you got to rely on your own body. You
Yeah.
are the engine.
Yeah.
You've got a 1M horsepower. That's like a 1M power bike. And that is so scary, especially when people have, like she said, was that guy late to work or he's mad? And it's not even that she was trying to cut him off. She's trying to share in a respectful way. And my new journey is just trying to practice compassion. It's if you're the driver of the car, just put yourself in the position of the person on the bike and ask yourself, whatever they just did, would you have done the same thing? Because probably a lot of times you would have. Because in her case, she was trying to get around a car, but for him, it's she's trying to cut me off. I'm going to slam on my brakes. You know what'll make you really late? Standing trial for manslaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, getting into a huge wreck or driving off into a ditch, something like that. Yeah. It's road rage, like we've said on the past couple episodes, is so scary because you have a huge weapon that or what could be used as a weapon, which is a car, at your disposal when you're at your most pissed off. And if you're a vulnerable cyclist, that's really scary. So let's all heed M's reminder of just look out for each other.
Yeah, no matter what vehicle you're in, watch out for each other and ask yourself, would I have done the same thing? Because you probably would have. Well, thank you, Em, and good on you for being a triathlete, but stay safe out there.
Right.
Sinisterhood will be right back. This next one's from Brigitte, and the subject line is My Alien Family. Hello, my wonderful sinister ladies. I discovered y'all during the end of times, aka the pandemic, when I was overworked and overtired working in healthcare. You both kept me sane and lifted my spirit when I just wanted to hide in a hole until all the stress went away. Anyways, let's get into why we're really here. My family is a non-stop experience of crazy, hilarity, reality show level drama, and lots of love and support. Growing up, I was always very quiet. Most of my family thought I was unable to speak until I was 10 and kept to myself when I was at home. Me being the youngest of 4 girls definitely had nothing to do with it. I was not avoiding my sisters, I swear. Anyway, my mom worked long hours when I was younger to provide for us while my stepdad was on tour with his band. So she wasn't always around, and my sisters loved taking advantage of that when they could with pranks. I was usually the target. One day, my sisters and I were at home, and I was 6 or 7 at the time, so my oldest sister would have been around 14. We were all doing our own thing when C, the oldest, corralled the other two, S and N, into having a bit of fun. C had come up to me and said, I'm going to miss you so much when we go back, but you'll hardly know we left. Confused, I just stared at her, and S chimed in with, We're leaving tonight to go back to our home on Zoltar, and your real family will be coming back to live with you. They've been on our spaceship and have missed you very much, but they have been watching you. N just nodded along in agreement. I was horrified. I haven't been living with my real family? Have I been really living with aliens and not even realized it? They got more detailed into their backstory and why they did in exchange to study humans on Earth. At some point, I just started crying and my mom had come home. C explained to my mom that she was filling me in on all of them leaving me to go back to our home planet and that my real family would be here shortly. My mom, of course, played right along and said, yeah, they were leaving soon and needed to make sure everything was ready for the trip. I don't think I ever ran up the stairs or packed so fast in my life. I had a whole suitcase and backpack stuffed and my trusty pillow with me while I stood by the door, tears in full force, and waited for them. Sobbing, I said, I don't want my real family and that I want to leave with them. After a few minutes of this, Mom came back downstairs and gave up the joke. To say I did not trust them for a while would be an understatement. I love my family to death, but they can be assholes. Here's a couple of fun little blurbs. When C was around 13 and S was 9, C told S that pouring chicken noodle soup on her hair would make it nice and silky smooth. S then poured a whole can of Campbell's chicken soup on her head and massaged it in. C also did this to S with milk. Around the same time, N wanted to play with her toys in a box and be mailed somewhere while my mom was at work. For context on the box, my mom was a manager at a high-end grocery store in Minneapolis and would get the big boxes of the toilet paper and paper towels would come in so that she could put every single one of our Christmas presents in them. We got too good at unwrapping presents and wrapping them up again, so this was her way of deterring us. So we had one of these boxes still in our garage in the spring, and my sister N and I would use it to make forts. N had gone to CNS and said she wanted to be mailed somewhere. So they did the only logical thing and put N in the box with the toys she wanted to bring, along with some food, a drink, a blanket, and a pillow. Then they shut the box. There were handle holes on each side, so she had fresh air. Well, a while goes by, and my mom comes home to N being gone. I just pointed to the garage. My mom finds the box in the garage and opens it to find my sister N reading a book to her dolls. This was 8 hours after my sisters put her in there. My mom was both furious and laughing at the ridiculousness of the situation. N was fine and is now healthy with 4 kids of her own. I have so many more stories, including one where a friend and I invented a cryptid of our own to keep the kids in the neighborhood away from our fort. We scared the shit out of those poor children, but kept them away though. Thank you for reading these stories, even if they're not read on the podcast. I love y'all like friends I've never met, and I cannot wait to one day get a chance to go to a live show. You should definitely try to go to Minnesota, just not in the summer. Stay far away from the 90+ degrees with 90% humidity. Love you both, and keep it creepy, Brigitte.
Oh, man. I gotta say, poor Brigitte.
Poor baby.
You were, but your poor mother,
dude.
You and your sisters must have run her ragged with all of these shenanigans.
I'm glad she laughed.
The oldest is that I wasn't this extreme, but the oldest is usually the ringleader, I will say.
Oh man, it's so funny to like hear things like this and be like, why do kids love to do that? Me and Marilla fucked with her sister one time and told her there was a whole other kid because Marilla's older brother had an Olin Mills where he like is facing forward and then the second one where he's facing to the side, and we convinced her that there was a second brother, and she was like, what happened to him? We're like, he had to go to another family, they took him. Like stuff like that is like, it rocks the foundation of your life.
Thinking
like,
that your whole family has been aliens
yeah,
and that you are now going to go live on another planet, and your mother keeping that up. Honestly, yes. I mean, you can't be that mad. Your kids are pulling all these pranks when you are clearly a prankster yourself.
She's enjoying it. Yeah, I'm glad when she came home and found her kid taped in a box for 8 hours. Like you said, handle holes on the sides. She's good to go.
8
and just
hours.
Like chilling in there, reading to her dolls, like eating her snacks.
You never got out to go to the bathroom. She's just in a box for 8 hours. Kids can do shit like that.
Yeah,
put people in them and also just be like, I'm just going to chill in this box with my dolls for 8 hours.
Right. I just feel like something I would be the recipient of all of these, Brigitte. So I highly relate that I would be the one that everyone would tell me that we're aliens and I would believe it and go pack my bags. And also I would absolutely fall for this would do something to your hair. Like this makes your hair better. I'd be like, oh, okay, well if we should, when you're that little and you trust your older sibling.
Yeah. That's the problem. You can't ever trust your older sibling.
No,
you don't know what they're going to tell you to do.
I did the same thing to a kid that wasn't even my little sister. So sorry, little Heather. I love you. Just talk about living life well. Got a kid of her own now, like thriving. But
not you as a little Heather.
No,
this child was also named Heather.
Well, we called me Heather and we called her little Heather, which in retrospect that sucks for her because she was in that family first. But she's the one that ended up with a nickname. But she's great. She listens to the show. What's up? But those like little fun pranks are good. But I like that your mom got in on it too. You have to, so you don't lose it.
It's fun to read about, but
not do it.
It would have before kids. I would have thought this was hilarious, but to think of Simon or Ella like weeping at the door, thinking that none of us are their real family, like that's a trauma I don't want to bestow upon them. I'm doing enough stuff that's going to fuck them up. I don't need to do pranks on top of that.
There's enough inadvertent things that are happening.
Absolutely.
To add it to something. Yeah, definitely don't do it to your kids now. These are all just good like 90s memories to look back on.
Right?
Certainly. Yeah. Anytime we get a parent prank story, we're all like, we are processing this together. Don't do it to your kids.
Yeah.
Well, shout out Brigitte and your sweet family. Hopefully y'all don't prank each other anymore. At least you do with full knowledge that you're being pranked.
Yeah. Your family here And in the skies.
Yeah, your other family too. I hope they come back and visit too. Sinisterhood will be right back. This next one is from Martina, and the subject line is, "The bombshell my grandma dropped." Wait, what? Hey ladies, thank you for giving us one of the best podcasts this world has to offer. I love listening to the episodes on my way to and from work and on my long runs during marathon training. You're both lovely and entertaining, and I absolutely enjoy listening to your stories. I'm a 40-year-old female from Germany, and you can call me Martina. The story is about a bombshell my grandma dropped on me a few weeks ago while innocently having coffee on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. First of all, my grandma is a loving, funny, 92-year-old lady, and she is my favorite person in the world. She's a heartwarming person who has shaped me in a lot of ways. We are very close, and she's the center of our family. She loves to talk about the good old days, how much fun she had with her 6 sisters and many friends growing up, and she also talks about serious topics and the hard times in her life. My husband and I have 2 sons, aged 19 and 17. 10 years ago, we started hosting foreign exchange students from all around the world. Over the past years, we've welcomed teenagers from Mexico, Argentina, Ecuador, Taiwan, Spain, and Italy into our home, and we always had the best times. These exchange students were usually between the ages of 15 and 18, and in Germany, this is the time when you learn about the Third Reich in school in more detail. Our most recent student, 17-year-old Alberto from Italy, had to write a paper about children and young people growing up in the Third Reich. I suggested he could interview my grandma on this topic since she was still a child during World War II, and she talks a lot about growing up during war. So we bought cake and cookies and hit the road to Grandma's. At first, my grandma told us about how they always heard the bombs falling and how they hid down in the basement. These being the 2 things she still remembers vividly, and therefore she will never forget. She talked about school and the teachers and how every morning, every class began with the mandatory Heil Hitler, followed by the Nazi salute. She talked in great detail about how many family members she lost during the war, and we could still see the sadness in her eyes. Her own father was a prisoner of war, and he came back a totally different person, this leading to the family falling apart. Alberto asked, "Grandma, have you ever seen Adolf Hitler in real life? Like at a rally or something like that?" "No," my grandma said. "I've never seen that idiot in real life. But, hey, Martina, do you remember your late Uncle Otto? Did you know that Hitler was his godfather?" Mic drop. Everything went silent. Alberto looked at me, confused. I looked at him, then at my grandma, not sure what I had just heard. Like, what the fuck? Did she just say that Adolf Hitler had been my uncle's godfather? Well, she did indeed. And then she told us the full story behind it. Given the great importance that the Third Reich gave to healthy population policy, it's obvious that the Fuhrer and Reich Chancellor, as well as his colleagues in leading positions, took great interest in Germany's growth and were happy to become honorary godfathers for newborns in families with many children. It was also clear that the Fuhrer had to choose the cases in which he would become an honorary godfather. Since the Fuhrer himself was not able to investigate each case, each application was first reviewed by local government and party offices. This review was completely unbiased, as is evident from the not small number of granted honorary godfatherships. Certain conditions, however, must have been met in every case. The family had to be genetically healthy. The godfathership could be considered only at the birth of the 7th living son, or, if there were not that many sons, in the case of the 9th living child. There could be no doubt as to the characters of the members of the family. The godfathership would only be granted as long as there were no questions about the parents' political standpoint. The review required an official questionnaire. 17 questions had to be answered. To prevent excessive applications or curiosity, there were questions about the Aryan ancestry of the parents and their genetic health. In general, it was unnecessary to provide documentary proof of Aryan descent, and if all living children in the family were healthy, that was sufficient proof of genetic health. But what was the purpose of the honorary godfathership? The guidelines made clear that the godfather had no obligations, nor is he obligated to provide gifts. Nonetheless, the benefits of such a godfathership were not insignificant. In cases in which it seemed appropriate, the Fuhrer gladly gave a present in cash from the resources available to him. Moreover, the honor the godchild received from the godfather brought particular attention. The godchild stood out from those of his age group or workmates. The government agencies that he dealt with would gladly give him particular attention since he had the Fuhrer as godfather, which will help smooth his life's path to a considerable degree. Through that alone, the Fuhrer fulfilled the moral duty that accompanied godfathership. Back then, people did not know what was about to come, and most families were happy to apply for the honorary godfathership. You'll find an honorary godfather certificate attached. All this was news to me, and I've never heard of this honorary godfathership thing before. I was stunned and speechless, but Alberto was more than happy to have such a, quote, cool story to tell in school, even told through the eyes of one of the few people left that lived through the horrors of World War II. I hope my grandma has many years left to tell her stories, good and bad, and I attached a photo of the both of us for your eyes only. I also attached a picture of my dog Leo, whom I rescued from a shelter in Romania a few weeks back. All this talk about a fucker named Hitler needs a palate cleanser after all. Keep up the great work, and if you ever find your way across the pond, I'll make sure to catch you ladies at a live show. Love, Martina.
Well, Martina, first of all, you and your grandma couldn't be cuter. You're adorable. And this is an actual letter with the Adolf Hitler insignia at the top of the page.
1939.
It's in German.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it says, but it seems legit. And I had never heard of this either. Granted of what we know now, it makes sense that they were trying to entice people to want to be citizens of the party and whatnot and support the party.
Yeah, that's what it seems like, that you get some kind of a, I guess, benefit. I was trying to see if my Google Translate would let me see what it said. Hold on. To the best of Google's ability, it says, Dear Sir, today we were asked to accept the honorary sponsorship on the birth of your child. Yeah, it says, we will gladly fulfill this request and we accept the honorary. It's saying honorary sponsorship, which I'm assuming is the godfathership. Yeah, and it says, I wish the best for his life from, and then it's signed by one of the, I guess, foot soldiers, the people that had the authority to sign it. But that's so wild that that's the regime that you're living under. And so you think like, well, this gives my kid the best possible opportunity because he gets cash money and he gets, preferential treatment, like she said, not knowing the true horrors that were to come. But Martina, I will do everything in my power to get us to Europe because I want to meet your grandma so bad. So bad. I'll bring her all the cookies and cake. She looks so fun and incredible. And thank you so much for sharing her story with us and letting us share it with everybody else. That's incredible.
What an amazing, incredible, interesting story, given especially knowing what we know now, that this was a thing. And to have like a document still that you can physically touch like this, those are the things that, we all think like, oh, we'll just throw away paper. This is why I save everything, because you never know when something someday might become a historical artifact.
It really is like historical value, truly, because you're just like, oh yeah, it's a thing from the government, whatever, not understanding what the government would become. And you're so right, Martina, being able to share your grandma's stories as one of the few people that are still living that can tell you this is the personal toll. Like my dad was a prisoner of war and maybe he didn't die in the war, but it tore our family apart.
Yeah.
Like it has these long lasting effects that, we don't often consider just in a history class. So good on you for taking in all those foreign exchange students as well. That's got to be an awesome experience for all of them, for sure.
Yeah. What a fun thing for your kids to grow up having like friends from all over the country too. Yeah. And your sweet Leo is absolutely precious. Look at that happy face. He's so happy to be out of that shelter.
Yeah.
Big
that's
old
a
tongue.
palate cleanser. That's a palate cleanser. I didn't
literally
get
a palate cleanser because his tongue is half of this photo.
It really is. Well, thank you, Martina. Sinisterhood will be right back. Well, this next one is from Stevie, and the subject line is a near-death experience, a shitty doctor, and the student who saved the day. Hello, ladies. I really, really loved your last episode on near-death experiences, and the story I wanted to share is not mine, but my mom's. Before I was born, my mom ran a cardiac unit at the Norfolk and Norwich Hospital. She was the head ward sister and incredibly passionate about nursing. One day, there was a man brought to her in cardiac arrest. Halfway through working on him, a very arrogant, very senior doctor arrived nonchalantly, hanging his soaking wet umbrella over the electrical equipment. Apparently, my mom lost it at this doctor and verbally ripped into him while also trying to save her patient's life. After a while, the man was pronounced dead. There was nothing that could be done. Just before all the equipment was taken away, my mom turned to some of her cardiac students and said, "This man has died. Would any of you like the opportunity to practice using the defibrillators on a dead body so that you can have a go without being in an emergency situation?" One young student raised his hand and said he wouldn't mind trying just to get a feel for the process. Most of the cardiac team had left or were packing up their things. My mom helped the student place the defibrillator while grumbling still about the twatty doctor and his umbrella. One shock. That was all it took, and the dead man came back to life. All of the emergency alerts went off, and the students were ushered away as everyone got back to work on this man who had suddenly been revived. A few days after this event, my mom was giving him a bath. "I saw you," the man said as she washed him. "I was standing by the sink, watching what you were all doing." My mom kind of nodded, but brushed it off until her patient said, "I saw you lose your shit at that bell-end doctor and his stupid umbrella." My mom stood back and looked at the man. "Really?" "Yes," he said. "I also saw you all give up, and it was then I knew I was really dead. I knew somehow, though, it would just take one more go and I would be okay. I was screaming at you to keep trying. I've never known such relief as when you asked the students to try practicing with a defibrillator. As soon as that young man stepped forward, I knew I was going to be okay." My mom didn't want me to act too shocked or too freaked out around the man, who was still very poorly. She finished washing him, and they talked no more of it. When she relayed this to her coworkers, a lot of them scoffed and said it's because hearing is the last thing to go. But this man could identify exactly where everything had been stood, who was in the room and who wasn't, and could even quote word for word what my mom had said to the doctor who had nearly electrocuted everyone. Also, how did this man know that one more try and he would live? I don't know. There were lots of experiences my mom had in that hospital, which she felt has proved to her that there is so much about life and death that we just don't understand. Thank you so much for reminding me of this story with your latest episode. Keep it creepy, Stevie from Norfolk. Man.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this, that the
veridical
experiences. How do you know that the umbrella thing happened? How do you know where everybody was standing?
Also, how do you know if you are dead flatlined on the table and he said, "I knew one more pump of the defibrillator would do"? Like, it's not like he could hear it because they had already said he was dead and he flatlined and the oxygen's already cut off to his brain.
Feeling like, but that's
a veridical experience.
Terrifying to think you're screaming silently in your head, "Please don't give up." And luckily somebody steps forward, but that makes me panicky just thinking about it. Just like, it's like people in comas, if you can hear what's going on and they're like, "Well, I think it's time to pull the plug. I think she's gone." And in your brain, you're like, "No, I'm not. I'm here. Just please." Horrifying.
It's very scary.
To have that feeling and then have that relief of,
yeah, well, to have the feeling of I'm standing next to a sink and I see my body standing there and everyone gathering their things to leave going, "Person on the table's dead." And you're like, "But it's me. I'm the person on the table. Yeah. I'm not dead yet." They're like, "You will be in a minute." It's like, "I'm feeling better." Like, "No, you're not.
Just one shot, please. That's all I'm asking for."
Fucking Monty Python shit. But hey, man, I love that you're, a cardiac nurse. I'm not going to argue with a lot about life and death that we just don't understand.
Yeah.
Of like, especially those veridical experiences with the high degree of accuracy of description. That's what it just tickles my brain constantly.
I agree, though. First of all, twatty is a great adjective that I'm going to now use. But what kind of doctor comes in with wet stuff and just is like throws it down like they're in their living room?
I'll just put it over here. It's no worries. Like, no, it's literally leaking on equipment and we're all going to get zapped.
Probably shouldn't even be allowed in this room. Leave it out there, you scrub in, and then you come on in.
Yeah, why are we have filthy umbrellas in the operating room? Not a place for those. Not a place for those. But bless your mother, Stevie. Thank you for sharing this with us, for sure.
Absolutely. speaking of freaky, if you've got something creepy caught on camera, found a weird or unexplainable clip online, maybe you just have a funny video you want us to see, send it our way and we'll live react to it during Sunday Scaries, our weekly live stream over on Patreon every Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Central. It's totally free. You just put in your email and then you get access to that, and you get access to all of our backlog of bonus content that's available just for signing up for free.
Yes, and if you've got any videos of a guy just giving oral to an avocado or anything like that, send it in. Our husbands will make sure it gets in the fucking stream.
How many videos do you think we're going to have to watch of Donut Daddy this Sunday? Is it going to be Oops All Donut Daddy? Is that what we have to sit through?
I'm going to walk in on Paris. He's editing like, what? Like, babe, what are you watching? It's for the show.
I think I might disintegrate if I have to watch like any multiple of those, because it is so sexual.
It's a lot. We're going to have to put a moratorium. This will be the last video we watch before we go off, but send it on in and go check out all that free BOCO.
Yes. Well, if you like our free episodes, you'll love our Patreon bonus content. You can join for free, like we said, just to see what we're up to. Or you can dive into over 1,000 hours of bonus content, like Judge Christie, where I rule on petty grievances you bring before the court. True Crime Headlines, where we break down the latest news and updates in true crime. Heather Saves, where anything Heather has found late night scrolling can be discussed. And Am I the Asshole? Unpopular opinions and other subreddits that we feel require our input.
If you're not curious about what we're talking about, you're not entirely sure what Patreon is, if you go over, join for free, like we said, monthly free bonus content, weekly Sunday Scaries. You can also join for a week at any of the tiers with a free trial. It's where you check out all the perks of that tier that you're in, like our Q&As or anything like that, and you can cancel anytime before the trial is over without getting charged. But if you stick around for an annual membership, you get 1 month free. And when you do, you get all kinds of stuff. What are some of the possible perks?
Ad-free episodes, monthly live stream Q&As, quarterly live bonus content that we let you all vote on, weekly audio bonus content, mini-sodes, merch discounts, and a community of the best listeners on the whole internet.
Head over to Sinisterhood.com, click shop on the top banner to check out merch like t-shirts, mugs, totes, stickers, and even clothes for your kiddos.
While you're on our website, you can also review the show and submit topics and cases you'd like us to cover. You'll also find fun things like topic-based playlists. And it was mentioned earlier, but Crime Wave at Sea 2025 is approaching rapidly.
Yes, and like we said in the episode, True Crime Campfire is going to be there with us. Henry and Ed from last podcast Side Stories, Dan and Lynn's from Scared to Death. We cannot wait. It's November 3rd through the 7th, and it's high sailing on the seas. We're going from Fort Lauderdale, the corner of the Bermuda Triangle, through the Bermuda Triangle, Bahamas, private island, bunch of fun stuff, live shows, vacation with us. It's going to be great.
Live shows, fan meetups, Q&As, meet and greets, just hanging out on the Lido deck, doing some
Pool
shuffleboard, swimming. I wonder if they've got one of those big ass slides.
Oh, I bet. They do, actually. I just saw a video on TikTok.
Did you?
I saw a video on TikTok of a slide on a Royal Caribbean ship, and I went and looked up our Royal Caribbean ship, and they have a
Which ship are we on?
I believe we are on Liberty of the Seas, but don't go to crimewaveatsea.com/sinister and double check. But I'm pretty sure it's Liberty. But it's going to be a great time. Every Royal Caribbean ship is like classy, upscale. Like I'm looking at the pictures, I'm like, this is the kind of ship I'm trying to get on.
They got a good pool area with lots of fun stuff.
So go to crimewaveatsea.com/sinister and get your fan code and book your cabin before it's all sold out.
Yeah.
Follow us over on Instagram and Threads at Sinisterhood Pod. Like us on Facebook at Sinisterhood. Follow us over on YouTube so that we can have more subscribers than Jeff and Shalea from Twin Flames Universe.
I was watching something earlier and we're like at 9.32. So
they're at 30. So we needed some more friends out there, but we can do it. I know we can do it. Follow us over on TikTok at Sinisterhood Podcast to watch clips from the episodes, live streams, and more. And if you're looking for a unique and personal gift for the Sinisterhood fan in your life, you want to treat yourself. That's cool too. Book a cameo now, regardless of what we're there to celebrate. Birthdays, birth announcements, graduations. We will create a customized video that can be immediately viewed and sent. It's a thoughtful gift. It's perfect for when you don't want to have to go anywhere to shop. And also it's a gift for the person that already has everything, because every cameo is completely unique. It's not just some clutter and junk that's going to take up more space. It's a meaningful message from you to them and delivered goofily, usually, sometimes emotionally. Just depends.
I feel like it's kind of 50-50.
50-50. Depends on what people want.
Serious emotional pep talk and horsehead lady body.
Yeah.
You never know. It's going to be either.
It could be any. Someone was like, can I have advice on applying to law schools? And we did one cameo that was just like quite literally me brain dumping everything about that. So anything you want to have us make a video of, go to cameo.com/Sinisterhood, and we'd love to make one. Where can people find you online?
I'm on Instagram and Threads at Christy M. Wallace and TikTok at Christy or GTFO. Heather?
I'm on the internet at Heather versus the world.
As always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy. Sinisterhood.